Hello everybody, my name is Tokriva and welcome to Let's Try Democracy 3. This game just released a few days ago on Steam by Positech Games, and what it is simply a democracy simulator. It simulates a government and how it's run and how the people like you and want to vote for you, but in a very abstract manner. Anyway, not a lot to be said about options and such, so we will just start a new game. The base game comes with 6 countries you can play as, so you have the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, commonly known as the UK or Britain. One of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, founding member of NATO and the Commonwealth. The UK is also an active member of the EU, although it chose to retain its sovereign currency rather than join the euro. The UK is a constitutional monarchy where the monarch's power is effectively ceremonial. A parliamentary system is used to elect the House of Commons under a constituency-based first-past-the-post system. Well, that's just one nation. Of course, there's also France, a semi-presidential republic, largest country in Western Europe. Okay. Then next we have Germany, which is the most populous member state in the European Union, and it has a very turbulent history. It's also just a young country. If you not count the split during the Cold War, it was only founded in 1871, or well, united in 1871 by Chancellor Bismarck of Prussia. He basically beat France in a war, and Germany decided, yay, let's all become one country this time. Then there's, of course, the United States, a federal republic. I think it's actually the hardest country to play in this game, because the way the US demographic is based and how the politics work, it's a bit of a deadlock. It's you just cannot do a lot of stuff and go one way or the other without upsetting one side of the country. Then you have Canada, became a self-governing dominion in 1867. It still counts Queen Elizabeth II as its monarch, actually. And the same goes for Australia, the last country on the list. World's 12th largest economy, apparently. Yeah, so far I've played some games, but let's just play as the UK. Simply because it's pretty fun to play as the UK. And you can have some parties and decide who you want to be. Anyway, I want to be the Lib Dems, and I want, let's see, who can you, versus the Labour Party, because those are actually British parties. So the Lib Dems, the Labour, and then there's one more, Conservatives, maybe, not entirely sure what the name would be, but these are the two. The settings here change for each country to what it's standard in the country. So term length is 4 years in the UK. There's no limit to term because the parties rule, not necessarily the one person. So with the US this would be 4 years and term limit of 2. And at the same time the US has hurricanes and earthquakes on and monarchy off. And finally, political apathy. That's also changes, not entirely sure. I think it's how interested your people are in politics. It basically has to do with the difficulty, and that's actually different for each country as well. So, the government. Welcome to Democracy 3. You've just started your first term as Prime Minister, and as your Chief of Staff, I'm here to explain how things work. The icons below you show a few key indicators of the state of your country. So, our GDP is quite bad, our unemployment is quite high, our health is reasonable, our education is reasonable, our crime is on the high side, and our poverty is on the high side. So, yeah, the country is not in the best of shape. So, this is basically the screen you will be playing as in Democracy 3. And this is what I mean with this is a very abstract simulator of a country. So, the blue ones are actual states. So, this would be tourism. Tourism is at a regular level and it is affected by crime, violent crime, foreign relations, border control, sales tax, and global economy. So these are all things. GDP is of course one of the most important one, the gross domestic product of the country. basically means how much money is actually made by the country as a whole, and it has a really big effect on your income. So income is mostly, well, let's just say the board has been divided into 7 different factions or groupings, and each represents one ministry or department of the minister of the cabinet. And the cabinet shows you who you have working in each government department. So basically, you have foreign policy, welfare, economy, tax, public services, law and order, and transport. Each of these numbers means how much political capital these guys, and well, men and women would be a better term, give us every quarter, because it's a turn-based strategy, sort of, I mean, but it's turn-based, and every turn is a quarter of a year. So every quarter of a year they give you a political capital, the foreign affairs minister, of 4.2. So in total I get 26 per turn, and I can have, normally I can have a maximum of two turns worth, so that would be 52 right now. And their political capital go up and down depending on loyalty, experience, and effectiveness. Once they stop being very loyal, they will bow. They only give you 1 capital, and you should replace them at that point. And political capital is basically the points you get to spend every turn. You spend capital whenever you adjust a policy or implement a new one. Your points are generated by loyal members of your cabinet. So then income, well, it's basically just income. And here's a surplus. Right now we have a surplus of 32 billion pounds and a total debt of 770 almost billion pounds. And basically surplus means we have more income than expenditure every year. Now, what do you do with your capital? Well, you can do lots of things. So first off, let's look at, for instance, the red one down here in the public services, and that would be the asthma epidemic. Asthma and other lung diseases are a serious problem among our citizens. Not only does this obviously severely impact their quality of life, but it's also reducing our productivity and filling our hospital beds. Poor air quality, possibly caused by factory pollution and car fumes together with smoking, are the likely causes. And this is being generated, it's green car usage and red the environment. So car usage means asthma epidemic will go up the more cars are being used. So indeed, car fumes. And the environment is the factor that will reduce the amount of asthma among people. So the environment is one of the important things, and it's a very easy way to adapt this. So clean energy subsidies, pollution controls, and recycling are increasing the environment, and car usage, air travel, and our good or decent GDP are actually reducing the environment in strength. So there are several things. We will work on increasing our environment first, because that's a good thing. Also, it will have in the long run an effect on oil supply. I think this is oil demand. We can get oil demand down quite significantly by choosing certain policies. Now, as I said, there are 7 sections. I'm not sure where they used it before, but there's public service, so anything that has to do with public service, such as state schools, state health service, science funding, so basically science, schools, and health, that sort of thing. Over here you have law and order, basically police and everything to do about that, but it also includes like spy agencies, such as the intelligence services. Then there is transport, roads, rails, air travel, etc. Then there's foreign policy, which is things as border controls, but also military spending. And if you hover over one of the sections, you can see what it has an effect on. So military spending is at its current level, which is well-trained army, it is 30% popular with the voters. So if we were to decrease it, most voters would like that. So it has its current spending, it has a negative influence on patriots, it has a negative influence on unemployment in the sense that it's decreasing unemployment. So it's tricky because on the one hand or the other side, it doesn't always mean it's bad for that thing specifically. So it will make state employees happy. It makes patriots unhappy at this level. It's making state employees membership increase. That's what these three little men mean, or women. I'm not discriminating or anything. And it will also have a negative influence on the income of state employees, because I think the amount of members is increasing, so the total money will stay the same or something. I'm not entirely sure how the income tabs work, and it's making the liberals unhappier. Now, as an example, if we were to put it up towards overwhelming force, unemployment would be reduced even more. Patriots would actually be happy about it then. State employees will be also very happy, doubled in happiness, more, yeah, basically a little more than double. The membership of state employees will increase significantly faster, and actually it has a lesser negative effect on employees' income, in that it rises along with it. And if we go down, then liberals will still be unhappy because liberals are just unhappy about it, but patriots will become very unhappy about it. So that's military spending. Then you have welfare, things to do with pensions, such as how much the elderly get paid by you. This is child benefit. You can see what each thing means if you know the icons on each of the bubbles on. Yeah, and then there's economy and tax. Tax is basically your income. Economy has to do with mostly money, but also things that impact industry and pollution significantly, such as clean energy subsidies, which is not popular with the voters because probably most of that's actually weird why it's unpopular, but we could raise this to the maximum. It will actually make environmentalists happier, it will make capitalists unhappier, it will increase the environment, will increase energy efficiency, and will decrease CO2 emissions. And since, well, this actually only costs one political capital to raise to max level, so we are going to do that, because I feel that starting off, there are two things that are very good to use in the game and will in the long run be very beneficial. That is increasing the environment so your nation becomes healthier basically, and that is implementing a change to creationism versus evolution. And that means either only teach evolution in classes or only teach creationism. I've not yet been able to pull it off with creationism in a game. I've tried it in the US and I was assassinated by liberals. I tried it in France and I was assassinated by liberals. But when you go for evolution only, it will actually in the long run be very, very good for some reason. Religious people will very much hate you, but the long-term effect on the religious membership is huge. It will, over time, you can actually become a completely secular nation. And here you can see the effects of happiness on the religious. So abortion law, as it currently stands, makes them happy, and creationism is basically almost indifferent to them the way it's currently set up. So yeah, that's all the things you can do. You can change your taxes up and down. So this would be the tobacco tax, fuel tax, corporate tax, sales tax, property tax. This is income tax that is in graduation. There's also a flat income tax. Then there's capital gains tax, inheritance tax, and alcohol tax. And there are more taxes which we can find at the light bulb in the top, which are the policy ideas. So you have new laws you can implement for each of the departments. So at foreign policy we could do citizen tests, import tariffs, or national service. It all sounds great, wow. potential costs. So basically the costs of implementing it for each quarter are mentioned here. And apparently at maximum level, national service is cheaper than at the minimum level, which is weird. Anyway, then there's of course welfare new stuff to do, mostly have to do with making the poor happier. And of course, this is a very good one. The food stamp system is a system where the state will issue vouchers or stamps to those citizens on low or no income to ensure they are able to afford food. And of our voters, an estimated 89% likes to implement that. So that would be a good one to implement, but right now I am looking for specific ones. Well, here's a fun one that you can actually do. It is effective. The Robotics Research Grants. A special grant to encourage research in robotics is a very long-term area of research which will eventually bring about vast boosts in productivity. But at the same time, it will reduce the amount of lower semi-skilled jobs in the economy and thus potentially lead to higher unemployment. The robotics research grants actually has both a positive and a negative effect on your unemployment, because more people will get work to work on the robots, but more people will actually lose their job because the robots are replacing them. And same fun thing is about the space program. It will boost your technology quite significantly, but it will also make your patriots very happy, because space. I mean, it's a real good boost for morale. But what I'm going to implement are the hybrid cars initiative. And I will crank it up to max. Here you can see it's 650-ish million pounds each quarter. But we have currently a surplus of 32 billion. Now, you must remember, of course, that once the global economy tanks, your GDP will tank with it. So it's a nice game of balancing your income and your expenditure every quarter, and you use your political capital on it. And since you cannot save up unlimited political capital, at some point you will have to make decisions you don't like. So hybrid cars initiative, basically oil demand, it will decrease the oil demand. It will make environmentalists happy, it will make motorists happy because they can get cheaper cars. Car usage will go up. The environmentalists' income will go up because, well, they want to buy the cars. The environment will go up because hybrid cars are better on the environment, and the membership of environmentalists will go up as well. So we shall apply that one. And there is another which is not in the tax, but I think it was... No, it's actually under transport, which would be biofuel subsidies or a clean fuel subsidy. Let's see. Let's first do the biofuel subsidy because, well, it doesn't really matter. No, I think clean fuel subsidies is going to be fine because the implementation is shorter, and despite the fact that it is only 50% popular with voters, it's actually making... It only has positive effects. So it'll actually increase the income of motorists because they will have cheaper fuel to buy. So we will apply that now. My political capital is only at 2, but since it's not at our monthly cap, it will not go up. So we cannot do a lot. I mean, we cannot increase legal aid, which is 95% popular with voters, also only has positive effects, but there are quite a few that don't have just positive effects, and some that actually swing back and forth. So right now abortion law is only giving us positive effects, but if we were to reduce it, we would increase religious a little, increase conservatives quite a bit, but decrease, it starts angering liberals. If we put it even further, it will make liberals extremely angry if there's basically a pure pro-life choice in the country. Then again, if you go the other way around, then on demand, religious people won't like it, the conservatives won't like it, and the liberals only barely get an increase. So actually, keeping it at limited circumstances is best to keep the country happy. And then there's of course the creationism versus evolution. It will actually have right now it has a increasing effect on the fact that we are a technology backwater. So Our industry is based too much on old technology, and this is hurting our competitiveness abroad. So what we would like to do is increase funding to science. Here you can see that it will actually at one point start to go in completely in the green. It's actually only benefits, so technology will increase, energy efficiency will increase, GDP will significantly increase. But here you can see this is the number of turns of inertia in this effect. It's basically how long it takes for this change is fully implemented. So state employees will instantly be happy. GDP won't be really increased until 5 years into the future. But we'll probably increase science funding next quarter. Right now I feel there's nothing else to do, so we will skip to the next turn. We will return to the government, and this is the quarterly report. It will highlight some key indicators which impact upon the current state of the country. Plus there may be other information you need to be aware of. So first off, we have a question mark, which means it's an urgent message, and it's about a debt protection law. And basically debt collection agencies have been in the news because of the aggressive methods they are using to extract payments from people who owe large sums of money. These debt collection agencies provide credit to people whom larger, more respectable companies will not lend money. A law is proposed to limit the ways in which such agencies can operate. Well, so we could either limit their activity or allow them to operate, and both of these will make happy and anger certain groups within your nation. And these agencies are preying on the weakest and poorest in our society, so poor people will actually be happy about this, and capitalists will probably not be happy because they're the ones running these companies and they're making the money off of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to limit the activity because it has a negative influence on poverty and on the poor. We're still in the surplus of £32 million. We have a 70% poll in our favor. Global economy is doing well for now. And the Human Rights Society says it actively encourages its members to oppose the current government. Okay, and I think that's this one. The Human Rights Society, very high threat assessment, Basically, this is our intelligence screen. We monitor a number of organizations. Some of them are relatively harmless, which are basically the first group. And then there are the extremists, more dangerous groups. Basically, you can compare it with... Well, that's a good question. Basically, these are the militant groups within these bigger groups. So human rights has a lot of people. Wow. Jesus. Equality now. So human rights is not at the best point in the country. So we have 28 points. We have a big surplus still. And I feel it's time to correct our science issues. And we're just going all out from 6 to 19. So an increase of 15 billion every month. Well, every 3 months actually. But we can also look at taxes and see if there's anything we can tax to increase our income once again. But a part of this is also grants, such as if you're married, you will have to pay less tax, or you get money for putting up solar panels or wind energy on your house. All things are possible. Lots of public service things are making most people happy. Of course, we could also always introduce school prayers back into our schools because we could, but then again we are probably going for the science route in this one. And alright, I was going to implement the biofuel subsidies, but I think it's time for a telecommuting initiative. 83% will like it. Basically, we fund money to keep people at home and to work instead of taking the car to work. So commuter membership will go down. Commuters will be happier though. Car usage will go down. Parents will be happier because they can stay at home and look after their kids. Trade unionists will go up because it's it's advantageous for workers and not so much for the bosses. And so labor laws are very effective on either side. So you could be pro-employer, will increase the work week. Sorry about that. We'll increase the work week, we'll make capitalists happier, we'll increase productivity. It will make socialists unhappy, trade unionists severely unhappy. Trade unionist membership and socialism membership will go down, but also wages will go down, and that will in the end increase poverty, so I will not increase that. So wages, the effects it has on military spending, police force, state health services. If wages go down, then we would have to spend less on these things. Oh, that's actually... now I get why it's in there. Anyway, then poor earnings will go down, middle class earnings will also go down, but less so. But productivity is actually going up because our wages are so low. Yeah. Let's think. We still have 20 power to distribute. We are now funding a lot into science. I think it's time. Yeah, we can definitely crank up legal aid to maximum, make everyone happy about that. And let's skip to the next quarter. Unemployment has been decreasing. I think it was red when we started, and then this comes yellow, and then comes green when it becomes better. So right now Human Rights Society has been criticizing government policy on the radio, damn it. Factory farming law. A campaign for the tightening of animal welfare standards on farms is gaining momentum. A law has been proposed that would set higher minimum standards for the space, food and access to outdoors that is available. So farmers will be happier if we leave it unchanged. Most people would be horrified, and I think this would be liberals that would be quite... happy if we do set tougher standards, but I feel it's time to set some tougher standards. Other than that, also every quarterly report you get a nice quote in the bottom, sometimes even from fictional characters, like I've seen one from Homer Simpson pop up, but this one, when you've spent half your political life dealing with humdrum issues like the environment, it's exciting to have a real crisis on your hands. Well, the environment is not that much of a humdrum issue though, so right now we have 39, so it is time to... yeah, we're going towards evolution only, and this will make religious people very unhappy, but it will also over time severely decrease their membership to the point where no one is religious in the country, or well, about no one is religious, and that's fine. And as you can see, socialists are getting happier, commuters are getting happier, and the poor are getting happier because we increased legal aid, and that's about what we did. And probably because we are reducing unemployment heavily. Wow. Green lines are things that unemployment increases. Red lines are things that are decreasing unemployment, as you can see. And the speed at which the arrows go actually means the more effective. So the low GDP has a very big increasing effect on unemployment as it stands. But I think we might be able to look something up here. Fuel efficiency standards. It is very cheap though, and it would increase unpopular with people with cars and stuff though. But youth club subsidies is only 1 billion every quarter, and it's also a 100% positive one, so parents will be happier, socialists happier, crime will decrease, youth will be happier, and the income of the youth will increase. So let's go to the next month, or quarter still. GDP is going down, probably because, no, not because of the pipeline that has been attacked, but we still have a big surplus. But crime is also going down, so even though this is a red arrow, it means that crime is going down. And poverty can go down, education can go up, and health can go up. So basically the bottom three you need to have as low as possible, the top three as high as possible. So Jon Stewart, yesterday the president met with a group he calls the Coalition of the Willing, or as the rest of the world calls them, Britain and Spain. Okay, I think this has to do with like the Iraq war or a different war. And Jon Stewart has been misspelled if it is actually the guy from The Daily Show, because you should write it without an H. So environmentalists are very happy with me. Liberals are also happy with me. Farmers not. Religious people not. Patriots not so much. But the fact that patriots are unhappy is due to that event that happened. Nothing really else. I'm not going to spend as much money as possible. Well, I'm not going to spend that much money, I want to say, because, of course, the science increase is still ongoing. It's still increasing, but at least now we are getting happier people. Energy efficiency will be good. It will decrease oil demand, and that's always nice to actually have happen. When we look at asthma epidemic, we see it slowly degrading because the environment is slowly going up. So it actually has a continuous effect on the policy from the policies that you are implementing. Well, what also things we can do is we could legalize prostitution. It costs us nothing, it doesn't give us any income, but liberals will love it, but crime will also love it and increase alongside of it. So most of the things have negatives as well as positive things. And basically, well, most taxes only have negative influence. Well, in this case, income tax actually makes socialists happier. And this is a country of socialists. But yeah, and the middle income is unhappy with it. So I think what we're going to do, instead of actually making more money or spending more money, is making less money. So a slight decrease in our income tax should make everyone happier overall. We'll do next turn. I'm just worried about the economy. Oh, unemployment went up and crime went down. Small deficit, suddenly of 5.10 billion. We will allow marriages because that's just a moral choice I make. I'm pro all marriages, and we might have lowered the income to about 164, but because GDP drops, then income suddenly drops as well, and we can just simply raise it a little bit back again. It was at 41%, so I don't want it any more than that. And so yeah, that's an easy way and quick way to spend your political capital. Actually, let's just increase recycling to the maximum as well, because we can. Government GDP has gone up a little bit again. Unemployment is still high, and yeah, they do still change every 3 months, but it's just degradation is shown with the arrows. So if you see an arrow, it is a lot more than what it was otherwise. Yes, of course we will criminalize child labor. I mean, really? People would like that. Doing okay, we're neither in a boom or bust cycle. Oh, there was a quote from Napoleon that you can read, but I already clicked it away, so you could go back and pause it. Anyway, expenditure. This chart shows a breakdown of government expenditure. So this is all what we're spending money on. So pensions and health is the highest. So the fact that we have many old people is the most expensive thing in the country, and then comes health service, which is most likely half of it at least, also because of the old people. So they are a big drain on the economy. But yeah, that's the downside of the welfare state. You spend a lot of money on people who you'd rather not spend the money on, but you do it anyway because it's the right thing to do. Then there's income, which is a much easier chart to watch because income tax is the most, then comes sales, corporation, petrol, or fuel, depending on which side of the ocean you're on. Stuff like that. Yeah, and in tobacco is not very high, inheritance and alcohol neither. And then there are the charts. This is the most important one, I feel, of the dollar sign in the top. And this, as you can see, shows how the economy is doing. The global economy is slowly degrading, and our GDP is our income. Yeah, this is when we lowered. This is when we lower taxes. This is when we raise taxes. So you can see the income going, but at least relative GDP is not that bad in this case. But suddenly our debt increased because we spend a lot of money. But as you can see, historically, the UK has been paying off all its debt for a long time, for a couple of years, so that's a good thing. And even though the economy was pretty shitty at this point, but then again, when you look at this, it's just a straight line, or in other words, it's just set numbers at that point. Global economy will influence your GDP. Yeah, the global economy is going lower, but you can implement more and more things that will in the end actually get you to a point where you're not dependent on it anymore. So a good way to make money is actually to reduce state pensions a little bit. We don't do it that well. Hey, hang on, we're now at 44, so let's increase it to just medium. So we'll make retired less happier, but it will still make them happier. A capitalist will be less angry, but it will still make them angry. So let's do this then. And this gives us 12 billion to play with, and let's see, rent control is a very cheap one, and it will in the end make will decrease poverty, will make socialists happy, capitalists very unhappy, private housing will decrease, park earnings will go up, and capitalists' income will go down. Capitalists, but we don't have that much of a group of capitalists. We have 14.15% of our nation is capitalist, and they are already highly opposed, so it's not like we can make them any happier in the country. Education is actually going up now, which is good. Oh, we have a big surplus. 83% of us would vote. Money doesn't make you happy. I now have 50 million, but I was just as happy when I had 48 million. Arnold Schwarzenegger. So some of these quotes are just humoristic and not significant to any political influence or have any real gusto to it. So our education is increasing, and good things to increase education are, of course, increasing funding to schools. Right now we are at shared textbooks. I think I want modern textbooks, so I want to increase school spending a lot. We're almost at the point where asthma epidemic is not relevant anymore. And oh right, organized crime is an issue, so let's go to the police force and start spending money, which is actually good, because no one will hate spending more money on the police force. It depends on what the police actually has at their arsenal that makes people unhappy with the police. So crime will go down, violent crime will go more down, conservatives will be very happy, state employees will be very happy, membership of state employees will increase, state employees' income will go down less. Yeah, still not 100% sure. Unemployment will decrease a little, and alcohol abuse will actually go down, and changes are confirmed. So this is the other red one, it's the abuse of alcohol, and just having alcohol available, it's one of the more difficult ones to actually reduce without making many people unhappy. And community policing is actually a very good one to decrease alcohol abuse. It's basically the strongest against it. Racial tension will increase, liberals will increase, liberals will be happy. So let's apply these changes as well, make that maxed out. So we're going into the next quarter. Asthma epidemic is actually at an end now. Education is going down, but crime is also going down because it's now in the green numbers, which is good. So we might be able to just eradicate crime. Allow GM crops will make farmers happier, I think. Oh, farmers are divided. Some food can be genetically manipulated to allow for longer shelf life on both disease and herbicide resistance. Opponents are concerned about the potential risks associated with altering the food chain. Farmers are divided on the issue. Okay, well, I'm gonna allow it, see just what happens. Anyway, Chris Patton, in democracy, everyone has the right to be represented, even the jerks. It's a fair point. Let's see, so asthma has just disappeared from our screen. Right now we're still a technology backwater, but that's severely decreasing already, mostly because of our science funding. And science funding is actually increasing technology, so it has a double effect on this. So technology is actually decreasing, but so is science funding has been increasing. So over time we will be very technologically advantageous. But that also comes with its own downsides, of course. It's not just cookie and cream and everything nice that goes with technology. It actually has some downsides as well. But we will get to that if we get to that. I mean, this is just going to be a one-off if you want to see what happens if I ruin the UK or not. Middle income is not very happy because, yeah, and most people are in the middle income. So inheritance tax, 4.303, you know what? I'm gonna cancel the inheritance tax. We'll make the wealthy happier, we'll make the middle income happier. We will still make more money. And we can always put a different tax that's actually much more efficient at making money. I think that's all we're going to do now, or we can have something very cheap to put in. I mean, here's the potential costs. Fuel efficiency standards is not. Oil demand will go down, capitalists will be unhappy, CO2 emissions will go down, but motorists' income will go up, car usage will go up, environmentalists will be happier. Why is income going up? Because they are, well, they're basically using less fuel and therefore having to get petrol or fuel at the gas station a lot less often, so it's better. So crime is still going down. We're still in a surplus, 90% of the vote now, despite the low GDP. That's very good. Freedom of information, a moral choice for me again. We will propose the Freedom Act. It's essential that we have passed this law, as is one of the checks and balances required in any truly free society. The average law-abiding citizen should not be spied on or monitored by multinational corporations with computer databases. Basically, it allows intelligence services to work. There was a quote from Karl Marx. If you want to read it, just go back and pause it. Yeah, I've been playing this game a little bit, and I'm already made the UK into like a socialist utopia almost. Like, had no religious people already, but as you can see here, the membership is already slowly going down, but at one point there will be no religious people. What's this? Homelessness. Okay. Causes high poverty, high unemployment. High unemployment has a lot of, just because we have very low GDP. That's actually just, holy crap. Factory farming law, really? Nah, I don't think that was it. It's just the market crashing. GDP is one of the most fickle of the charts in this game, but still, we're already 150 billion almost down in debt over, what, 2 years now? So, yeah, we've played for 2 years officially. Anyway, you still have a lot of capital to invest. Economy, you could ban Sunday shopping, but no. It will actually have a negative effect on productivity or the or income. I think just straight on the GDP actually. So maternity leave is 52% happy and actually doesn't cost us anything. So we are going to implement a full pay maternity leave. Well, it will decrease productivity, but maternity leave in the long run will make most people just happier. And other than that, let's see. Border controls, we could, it's very unpleasant for most people, so I think we're going down to passport checks in this case. It will actually, what it will do now, because we changed it, it will increase tourism, it will increase ethnic minorities, or well, will have less of an impact on them, it will have less of an impact on immigration, and will make liberals less angry and patriots less happy. It's as simple as that. So, let's go to the next quarter. Market meltdown, that's just not great. Our party membership is the largest by noticeable margin. 93% of the vote is now what we get, and global economy is in a deep recession because market meltdown. I believe there's something out there watching over us. Unfortunately, it's the government. So GDP went down, but also crime went down. Just look at that. Crime is getting very, very low in the nation. So it's the charts, yeah, market meltdown, GDP just tanks to the bottom. Oh, global economy. So next quarter we will see a very, very big decrease. Oh god, stupid yawning. Sorry about that. We'll see a decrease in our surplus probably. We now have 290 billion income. And I think we should look at increasing at least one tax somewhere. Most people are happy with an increased corporation tax, so we will increase the tax here a little. And maybe the tax on tobacco as well. Yeah, let's make that a... Oh, we lack a little bit of capital. No, I don't want to cancel the tax on it. Alcohol, we could increase taxes on alcohol. People will not like it, but I will do it anyway because money. And it will increase poverty, it will make the poor unhappy, it will make equality less, it will decrease alcohol consumption. So do that. Let's go to the next quarter. Unemployment went up, crime went still down. Oh, health is also creeping upwards. Budget deficit is suddenly 30 billion almost. Wow. Curb banking bonuses. Yeah, we will restrict the bonuses. There was the quote by Homer Simpson. So now we just lost our income of almost 50 billion pounds every freaking quarter. That's a huge decrease there, while our expenditure stays the same. So we will up our money on the Race Discrimination Act, because discrimination is not nice. We could lower, so liberals, no, liberals would actually be less angry. Parents would get angrier though. Oh, liberals would actually not care if we had no limits on handguns, and there will be an increase in violent crimes though if we allow more than just the licenses. So prisons, this is always a good one to implement. Most people will like it. So liberals don't really like prisons, but if you spend enough money on rehabilitation, they will love it. And as you can see, 100% popular, so the higher this is, the better it is. But we just don't have the money right now. Maybe we can implement a big tax, such as the car tax. I think we're going to implement a car tax because, well, it will make many people unhappy, so we'll don't put it too high. It will actually decrease the membership of motorists, and the more people we can become commuters would be perfect. But sometimes you have to implement the unhappy stuff. So because we are now so far in deficit, our credit rating has been downgraded, then again the polls are still going positive for us. So income has increased slightly. Easiest way to increase income, of course, is increasing the biggest income source, but it's just too much capital needed and very expensive. Technology, we are probably losing the backwater next quarter, which is good. Unemployed benefit, I think we're going to increase that slightly. It will make our expenditure bigger, but if the GDP increases once again, then unemployment will drop anyway. So crime is almost at its minimum. Poverty is actually going down as well. Still a big deficit, polls 94%, technological backwater is at an end. And we might get the advantage in a few turns as well. Food stamps, yeah, let's spend all of our money in food stamps to make people happy again and to get us through the tough times. Appoint a UN ambassador. Oh, our deficit actually grew smaller. Ha! Hopefully because GDP is increasing. So, the UN ambassador is basically just a way to make a certain constituency happier. And in this case, our ambassador to the UN retires this year, and we need to name a successor as soon as possible. We either appoint a hardliner who sticks up for the country, or someone more able to compromise. So, yeah, because he's popular with liberals and socialists, I will go with Steve Harris. Because our country is full of socialists and liberalists. I mean, it's the biggest groups, most people in the country. I mean, 90% of the population is socialist. And no, it's not the same as US socialism. Don't start with that. Europe and the US have a very different opinion of what it means to be socialist. And basically it's almost synonymous to communism in the US, and that's definitely not close to what it is here in Europe. Anyway, stem cell research. Hey yo, let's make the religious people even more unhappy. But it will increase health, technology, and of course the GDP in the long run. So, and of the 6 nations you can start with the base game, Australia actually already has it. So, all the laws that have been implemented for each country are the actual laws as they stand in the country already. Then again, this is the UK, and I do seem to lack CCTVs. No. it's not in here, so CCTV is already active. Then where's the icon for? Oh, here it is. CCTV cameras, of course, they are on every street corner in the UK. If you're in the UK, you can see everything almost. It's insane. GDP is going up. Technological advantage. This is good. Health is now green. Crime is green. Poverty became green as well. And our deficit has gone down by 33%. Yay. We will sign the nuclear test ban treaty because, seriously, Iraq does not have weapons of mass destruction. Tariq Aziz. Okay, no idea who he is, but that they don't have the weapons is good. Anyway, religious people have been decreasing. I mean, membership is still going down, and in the end will probably reduce to 0. I hope. Anyway, since our deficit is slowly decreasing, I feel it's time to implement something that's nice again. Most of these are actually quite bad to do. But free school meals, yes, it will decrease poverty severely. So let's eradicate poverty in this nation. In the United Kingdom, ministerial scandal. So GDP is going up, unemployment down, poverty is going way down. 93% of the vote. Membership of the party is going up significantly. Oh, we're now in a surplus. Okay, GDP has risen and it has come back with a vengeance. No, oh, our GDP is increasing. The global economy is still extremely crappy. Okay, so that's interesting. So we are doing things to increase our GDP while the rest of the world is just getting along crappy. And it's almost time for a election. And I will actually end this video after the election because basically this is the whole game and it's fun to see how if you can pull stuff off. I mean, it has some achievements in it and some of these I already did. Crime-free utopia, green utopia, egalitarian, etc. Darwin's legacy. Religion has been all but wiped from our country. But there's a few that are a little bit harder to get because the countries you start with don't lend themselves for it, such as God's Kingdom, basically the opposite of Darwin's legacy, or the socialist paradise, and made this country into a communist nation, basically. Can we still do something cool? Toll roads would make money. Satellite road pricing, that will decrease road usage by a very big amount. ID cards. Apparently you don't have to be you don't have to always have an ID card on you in the UK. Anyway, let's see. I think university. Nope. I'm going to subsidize art. Capitalists will be unhappier, but everyone else is just happier about it. Also, foreign aid will go up to maximum. Foreign relations will increase, which will increase trade, I think, and therefore make people happier. So, the election results. Our party and the opposition. And, yeah. I think it's quite obvious that who has won this election, isn't it? Wow, 57 million almost of the vote has gone our way. 90%, so breakdown. Capitalists, still 63% of the total vote of capitalists. So, of all the groups, everyone voted, a majority voted for us. So self-employed and capitalists are the least likely. Even the religious people are share a vote, but that's the fun thing. Religious symbols, we will reject the ban because religious freedom. Currently have a huge surplus. It seems the global economy is in deep recession, and still we're making tons of money. Look, the global economy has gone up again. Yeah, so the thing is about the voters, they're not all the same because 89% plus 10%, that's 100%. So socialists and capitalists are in the same group, but for retired people, that's 19.15%, then you would be over 100%. So when we look at the wealthy, 22.4, oh, hello. Wow, I actually never saw. That's actually not a bad picture, but okay. So 22.4% plus 52.65% plus 24.95. Quick napkin math, that would actually 25, 77.6 plus 22.4 is exactly 100%. So wealthy, middle income, and poor, that's also everyone together. And then everyone else, parents and youth, it's probably not overlapping. Liberal is 81.9%, conservative is the rest of the group. So liberal and conservative is the total amount of the country. So even though all these groups, they all have a different influence on each other. So this specific person, Sally Phillips, is a socialist, makes her happy. Commuter makes her happy. Liberal makes her happy. Trade unionist will make her slightly unhappy. She's environmentalist, will make her very happy. Middle income is the group in which she's in and makes her slightly unhappy. She's a parent, she's a state employee, she's an ethnic minority, and, well, and everyone is just, well, overall, everyone, happiness, media backlash, ministerial scandal, not a lot of things you can do about that. So overall, most people are happy with us, and I mean 90% of a vote is great. So we managed to not ruin the UK within one term of its government with the Liberal Democrats. Yes, that's uncompetitive economy. That's a more difficult one to eradicate. So here you see asthma gone, maternity leave, and productivity goes down. Then technological advantage, productivity goes up. Everything has effect on everything in some way or another. Even it's a very complex game, but it's a very abstract view. I mean, it's still only this is what you see of the game. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching, and maybe you decide to check out the game yourself or a similar game. This just came out. What they did for Democracy 3, I believe, was revamp all the whole UI, and it looks pretty cool, I must say. It's a style, and it's a game you must enjoy to certainly like. But I like the game. It's fun to play. It's like, oh my god, can I ruin the US today, or France, or maybe someday there will be more countries a bit less in size, and maybe even less democratic, and see what happens then. So once again, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later.